Hello and welcome to episode 1157 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, March 28th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this morning by Justin Mason. Justin, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How you doing?
Not too bad. We got to hang out this weekend. The season starts this week. How's it going?
Oh, man, I just cannot wait. Like Thursday morning cannot come soon enough for me. I don't have any more drafts unless I jump into another one, which I did last night. So
you jumped in, even though because we had talked about doing an OC, and then I was like, no, I don't have the time. I was working till like midnight, and so then you ended up doing it. How'd it go?
Fantasy Pros doesn't like it. I just checked that this morning.
But they hated my main. I don't give a shit.
It's so funny.
Nothing against Fantasy Pros. It's just automated.
It's automated, and it doesn't take into account like a lot of the things that go into the format. So like in mine, it picked Team 11 as like the second best team, and Team 11 drafted 6 guys who are going to start the year on the IL or in the minors.
Oh wow! Yeah, so don't ever get hung up on those to the positive or negative. I'm not just saying it because my team got a -1 on the main event. Like if it was in first, I'd be like, okay, cool. Like it's fine, but I wouldn't be like, yes, I'm winning.
I don't want it. So last year, both of my main events were graded as like A+. And neither of my main events did well last year. So I feel like, and it's kind of a joke around the industry, that it's like a kiss of death.
Kiss of death if you got too good. Well, then I got a lot of love then, if that's the case, because they hated it. But we might be able to talk some main event today. But we got a lot of news, and we are both on a little bit of a time crunch. So let's dive in. And if we get to the main events, we do. If not, we'll talk about it maybe a bit on Friday after we review opening day. Let's start with the big injury. Triston McKenzie is going to be out for up to 8 weeks. This is obviously a massive deal. Could be as short as a couple weeks, but it's up to 8 weeks. As you know, we always kind of, lean toward the side of the longest end of it, just to be safe. There's no reason to be overly optimistic. It just leaves you disappointed when it comes to injuries. But he has a right teres major muscle strain, and that's going to sideline Triston McKenzie. One of the major issues with him has been health. He stayed healthy last year, had a breakout season. There has been concern. We talk about how he's my body comp, my direct body comp, and there's been major concerns about how much that frame can hold up to the rigors of 30 starts a season. And he had a relatively full season in 2021 as well, which was good. 21 innings in the minors, 120 in the majors, so that's 141 innings, and then 191 last year. So 2 relatively healthy seasons, but now we're already starting on the IL for Triston McKenzie. How are you feeling about him right now? You say you don't have any more drafts, so it's not going to affect you there. Did you have concerns about him coming into the year, or were you drafting Triston McKenzie as a bona fide number 2?
I was not drafting him as a number 2. I had him as a number 3. And it was in large part because I didn't trust him to stay healthy. Like you mentioned, he missed a lot of time in the minor leagues. One of the, he was a top tier prospect, pitching prospect, and really kind of fell from grace in terms of the rankings because he missed so much time in the minor leagues. And
arguably the best they've had as far as talent prospects.
Oh yeah,
right? They've developed so many great guys in Cleveland. Triston McKenzie, probably the most talented of them. They've cultivated others into greatness. He has the most talent, but the injuries have been such a problem.
Yeah, so I didn't draft him at all this year. So
me neither. For that exact reason.
Yeah, I'm pretty lucky based on that. So that being said, like this is really, really difficult to, because he's probably going to miss 2 months. I know that there's been, shorter ends of that time frame given, but you just got to think they're going to be pretty careful. They've got a lot of depth in that organization for pitching. It's a guy that's been injured a lot. So not much you can do, but just hold on tight for as long as you can.
Yeah, I think you got to hold in all leagues with Triston McKenzie. Obviously, if you have IL spots, makes it easier, but even in like an NFBC main event format, I think you got to ride it out. What are you going to do? Get rid of a guy that you paid that much for? You knew that there was risk coming in. You just have to go with it and hope that things break your way. And this is a huge bummer because I really like him. I love rooting for Triston McKenzie, but it's not good.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on then to our next bit of news here. Let me find my board. I'm obviously lost my sheet because I'm a bad host.
Rhys Hoskins.
The Rhys Hoskins injury, a little bit older, but we didn't get a chance to talk about it. Torn ACL, out for the year. Obviously, easy cut everywhere. The real discussion is Derek Hall and how you feel about him. This happened while we were out in Vegas. We knew he was going to move up. I feel like he was kind of like a last round pick type, and the main events go 30 rounds. So he was probably going around there before this news as somebody who could be in a little bit of a strong side platoon for the DH, hit for some power. Now he looks like their first baseman, or at least going to get a good share of that right now if they don't bring in anybody else. Did you move Derek Hall up your board? Was he somebody you were looking to get this past weekend now that he's going to get at least an opportunity at quite a bit of playing time?
Yeah, I mean, he was, but everybody in my drafts moved him up a little bit more than I did. So I didn't end up getting him anywhere. I think I popped him in like a draft and hold while we were in Vegas. But yeah, I mean, it looks like he's gonna be the Rhys Hoskins replacement right now, and you know, because they didn't go and like try to sign like Luke Voigt, who
he inked with Milwaukee.
Yeah, he went back to Milwaukee. Didn't make a trade for anybody. So I think they're just gonna roll with what they have. I mean, he's a really interesting guy, a guy who can hit for a good amount of power. And you know, the only problem, you know, draft wise was he's UT only, though he'll gain that first base eligibility pretty quickly in the season. If he's on your wire, I think you should go pick him up, especially if you need first base help. He's, like I said, he's going to play a lot. There's a ton of power in that bat. And I mean, he would have to be really, really bad to lose playing time because they just don't have very much else. So
that's the thing. If nobody else comes in right now for Philadelphia, I think it's Hall's gig to kind of hang on to for a bit. And, you know, there could be some batting average risk. There's a lot of swing and miss. But if he can hit for enough power, which he's shown throughout the minors, then I think Derek Hall could hang on to this job for a while.
Yeah.
All right. So, yeah, I pick him up. Would you pick him up in 12s?
I think so. If you're looking for a corner, I mean, the hard part in 12s is that most people don't really need corner help. I mean, it's not a position typically that is hard to find people. So
maybe util, maybe, you know, he's fringe in a 12 and definitely someone you can watch list in a 10. I don't really think you would need Derek Hall in a 10, but 15s, obviously NL only. He was probably already going as you know, relatively decent piece in NL onlys. Now he obviously becomes a bigger deal. A couple big send downs. Grayson Rodriguez did not make the team. And I thought Draft Sheet Pete on Twitter made a good point here that, you know, we give teams credit when it actually is a competition. And we're going to talk about the big guy who made the team, and a player actually makes it after performing well in spring. Shouldn't we give some credit for saying, okay, if this was a competition, to the negative end, you didn't perform, you don't make the team, at least in terms of a consistency factor? Grayson Rodriguez had a brutal spring. He was just bad, and thus he's going to go start in the minors. What did you think when you saw this news about Grayson Rodriguez?
I mean, it was surprising because all the talk had been that he was on this team. That, like, I mean, he really was going to be making the opening day roster. He was going to be part of that rotation. They were going to manage him kind of moving forward to kind of protect his innings a little bit, but that he was going to be in the rotation. I don't think anybody can make the argument that their rotation is better without him, even with the rough spring. Eno tweeted something out about how Mr. Eno Saris, our good buddy over at The Athletic, tweeted out that his Stuff Plus rated better than Hunter Green's this spring. That even though the results said that he was having a bad spring, the stuff was there.
The Ks were there. 19 Ks and 15 and a third for Grayson Rodriguez. He's just getting hit around a bit. 3 homers, 17 hits, resulted in 12 earned runs, 15 total, 7 walks as well. So it seems like maybe the nastiness of the stuff was there, but the command was well off.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he's going to be back very quickly. If someone in your league drops him, then just run to the wire, grab him. I can't imagine he's going to spend more than a few weeks probably in AAA. because he's just dominated AAA the entire time he's been there. So, yeah, if someone drops him in your league, go run to the wire, grab him, and be happy that they weren't able to be as patient as you can be.
Yeah, I think you'll see some 10 and 12 team cuts for Grayson Rodriguez. I would be really surprised if 15 teamers got super impatient there and cut Grayson Rodriguez. Of course, if they did, snap him up. But snap him up in all formats, I agree. If you can afford to hold him in a 10, it's a bit more shallow, but you got to take the shot here because I agree that Grayson Rodriguez could go down, put up 2 great starts in AAA, and then boom, come up for somebody who gets hurt. Right, because guys get hurt all the time. There's going to be a replacement there. I will say, Tyler Wells, somebody that I was like, man, he doesn't have a spot, so I don't know about drafting him, and I didn't. But now he gets that 5th starter's role, and I wonder if there's an opportunity for him to secure himself to maybe make somebody else the odd man out when Grayson comes back. Or if it's injury, then obviously that the injury chooses the player on its own. But Tyler Wells actually did some pretty decent things last year. The ERA wasn't great at 4.25, but he had a 1.14 whip in 103 2/3. Do you have any interest in Tyler Wells, say in 15 teamers right now?
Yeah, because that park is just so good for pitching. It seems so weird to continue to have to say that, considering
we got to remind folks though, because it's such a new thing.
Yeah, considering how bad that park had been for pitching prior to them moving the walls back. But yeah, if he's gonna pitch, then definitely want to play the matchups a little bit, and that's a tough division to play the matchups in. But because it's a more balanced schedule, you're going to get better opportunities against some weaker teams. So, yeah, I think he is definitely a streamer target in 15-team leagues and 12-team leagues. And
he takes a trip to Texas next week. What do you think about that? Tyler Wells at Texas.
I think that is in the conversation in 15-team leagues. I think 12s that might be pretty difficult considering the top half of that Texas lineup is going to be dangerous.
No, I fully agree with that. I would not really be looking at Tyler Wells in a 12, but in a 15, I think I'm taking that shot. They don't play all 7 days because he starts on Tuesday, so it's not a 2-step for him. The other one would be New York at home anyway, which actually, I mean, the Yankees, of course, are good, but it would be at home. That's what Kyle Bradish actually sets up for. He gets the at Texas and home to New York. But yeah, Tyler Wells at Texas, deeper formats, definitely taking a look there. He's the current fill-in for Grayson Rodriguez. Christopher Morel was sent down for the Cubs. And, this was another guy that I had a hard time with, and I ended up not drafting just because I looked at him with the strikeout rate and the way he kind of fell off. Even though he had the alluring power and speed, it was kind of looking like a late career Carlos Gomez type. And I've talked before about guys like that. I loved Carlos Gomez. I did the whole experience with him. I got the good, I got the bad, I got the ugly with Carlos Gomez. So I feel like I'm more attuned to that player type now. And it pushed me off of Morel this year. I'm not saying that to brag or anything. I got plenty of stuff wrong. We'll talk about the Anthony Volpe thing in a moment. I got fat L on that one. But with Morel, I just kind of pushed the power and speed to the side. I didn't think he'd not make the team. Let me be clear on that. But I just wasn't as interested in him as I normally am in that player type because of the poor plate skills. So he gets sent out. That opens the door for Edwin Rios. Patrick Wisdom going to start at third, but then Edwin Rios at DH. First off on Morel, what did you think about Christopher Morel getting sent down? And are you holding in 15s?
It is the first week of the baseball season, and you know what that means. Victory lap season. So yeah, I mean, this is what I've talked about all off season long with Christopher Morel, was that he had the worst zone contact in all of baseball last year. I mean, he was Joey Galloian in terms of the swing and miss. Yeah, without the massive power upside that Gallo offers. And I felt like if he didn't make some real changes to his approach and ability to make contact, especially inside of the zone, he wasn't going to be a major leaguer, and he's not. And until he makes those massive changes, he's not going to be a major leaguer. And I don't think that's something that is going to be fixed very quickly. So I wouldn't hold him pretty much in any format.
I wouldn't really be holding Christopher Morel either. Take a look when he gets called back up. There's almost certain that he will get a call up at some point in the year to fill in, and I'll take a look then and assess where I'm at. But as far as drafting Morel, I just wasn't really keen on it. and couldn't get myself to do it. So like I said, Patrick Wisdom, we kind of knew that he was going to be around somewhere. The winner, I believe, is Edwin Rios. Incredible power, massive swing. Now you talk about Gallo.
Yeah.
This is a Galloian sort of profile here with Edwin Rios. I was excited about him back in LA with the Dodgers. I want him to be good, but I acknowledge at the 32% K rate, including 39% last year, it's going to be hard. He doesn't really balance it with a good walk rate either, which is something that Gallo does at least do. But the power is incredible. He has a 273 ISO. That's slugging minus batting average for Edwin Rios in his career. What do you think about Rios, and where are you picking him up, if anywhere?
I'm not. Like, I think he is like NL only type fodder. He's not going to have this job full time. He's going to likely platoon with Luis Torrens, because for some reason the Cubs have decided that they hate Matt Mervis so much that they would rather roster 3 catchers on opening day.
Well, in fairness, Luis Torrens is not a catcher.
Yeah, I mean, I guess,
like
but
he has
he's also not a good hitter.
protector.
Like, so, like it, and now they're also talking about Nick Madrigal as a platoon partner, for either Wisdom or Edwin Rios. So, like, it's, I don't know. Like, I don't want anything to do with any of these guys.
Nervous.
They do. So, yeah, I don't think that any of these guys are super interesting.
No, I mean, like I said, I could get some interest maybe in Rios if you're chasing some pop in a 15-teamer. It's still kind of fringe though, because like I said, he's almost certainly going to ding your batting average.
Yeah, none of these guys are going to play enough, and so like
that's a big part of it too. That's a great call. Is that the playing time? Even if you get behind Rios's power, how much are you really going to get in terms of?
If there's an injury to one of them, and and they go, okay, well now Edwin Rios is getting all the playing time, or now Nick Madrigal is getting all the playing time, then you go, okay, maybe these guys become a little bit more interesting in deeper leagues. But until that happens, I think that they should all be on the waiver wire.
Rios popped 4 homers in spring, 31% K rate though.
Yeah,
in spring. So I mean, it's exactly what you're talking about. And then the volume not being great also plays a role there. Okay, so that's Christopher Morel getting sent out, Edwin Rios in. Okay, Anthony Volpe made the Yankees. I was wrong on that one, man. I just didn't see it, and I didn't think that they. First off, I thought Peraza would make it, and so I was like, well, how are they both going to make it? Well, Peraza didn't make it, and it was that simple. It was Peraza out, Volpe in. They did play the guy who had the amazing spring. Thought the defense would give Peraza an edge. Nope, they're going to go with Volpe. He was just so unbelievably electric in spring. 302, 413, 623 with 3 homers, 5 steals. Just absolutely brilliant. He won that job, I think, more than Peraza. Peraza ended up sputtering down the stretch in spring too. Ended up with a 616 OPS. Was trending with like a high 700s for most of spring. And that was another thing too. I was like, oh, well, he's not killing himself here with a bad spring, but then turns out, like I said, sputtered down the finish line or down the stretch, and it ended up looking like a no-brainer. The guy with the 1036 OPS over the guy with the 616. So fat L for me on that with Peraza and my Peraza shares. Volpe makes the team. What'd you think? I know he was somebody that you thought could make the team, but you didn't wind up with him anywhere. So what a work that was.
Yeah, I mean, it's super.
I'm just roasting you to make up for my
yeah. I mean, I was one of the people who early on in draft season was like, oh, I think he could make this team, and then I didn't draft him anywhere. Like, I've got 1 dynasty share, and that's it. So I didn't even draft him last night, knowing that he was making this team. I just wasn't willing to pay the top 10 round price that I figured he was going to have, and so the upside is huge. There's also a ton of downside, that he just isn't able to make enough contact at the major league level. I know the AAA or AA numbers last year are like video game. He had 50 total stolen bases between AA and AAA. He's not going to repeat that. I don't know that the power is necessarily ready to be like a 20+ homer guy. That being said, he's going to hit in this Yankees lineup, which is still pretty damn good. And he has an opportunity. He's going to play every day and, be in this Yankee lineup. So if he's available in your league, just blow your fab. Just like I can't imagine he's going to be available in a lot of leagues, but maybe in some 10-team leagues, like people weren't drafting him, in Yahoo and ESPN.
Leagues drafted a while ago that haven't run a fab period yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's really it. Because other than that, Volpe's going and he's going high. And simple fact is now, if you are drafting this week, and some folks draft after the season starts, so that everything is settled like this. Also, there's drafts going on, today, tomorrow, Thursday, before the season starts. You're drafting in one of those leagues, Volpe is going to be going in the top 100 at this point. Like, I already looked it up. That's main events. Basically, since yesterday, there were 4 of them, and he went average 95. Volpe did high of 86, a low of, or I guess a low, meaning the earliest he went, it was 86, a high of 116. It's a tight window. You're just not getting Volpe for anything resembling a discount. I know you haven't paid the toll, and you said that you're probably not going to. What do you think about that ADP at 95 for Volpe?
I completely understand it. I mean, we saw last year with Julio Rodriguez, like him going in the 4th and 5th round.
I think Witt's an even better comparison because he's also a shortstop.
I don't know. I think Rodriguez is a better comparison because he was not expected to make the major league team, and then all of a sudden, once he did, his price went up that high. So
true,
you're not having to pay as high of a price as you did for Rodriguez or for Witt, for that matter, or other top tier prospects like Jordan Walker and Corbin Carroll. So I have no problem doing it. I just haven't been able to pull the trigger. So maybe if I do have another draft, maybe I will target him or something.
Volpe's going in between Swanson and Wander Franco. What do you think about that?
I think with the Wander Franco injury, I understand that a little bit more. But that means he's probably going ahead of Willy Adames, which is
not correct. Willy Adames is at 86.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can see the argument for it. Man, that's hard. Because then he's definitely going ahead of Ahmed Rosario. And I don't know how much different they are as players. And Ahmed Rosario's roster spot is completely safe even when it struggles. So
it better be. I took him.
Yeah. I took him last night too. So I think I'd probably still lean Ahmed Rosario, but I can definitely, like I said, see the argument for Volpe, and I kind of wish I had him on a team other than just that one dynasty league.
Yeah, that'd be nice, especially since you were in on it. But way to go!
Yeah, just a bummer.
You can take a victory walk. Not a full sprint.
Maybe a jog.
Yeah, a little jaunt. Jordan Walker made the team.
This one I'm taking a full-on sprint lap. Yeah.
This podcast was early on that. Matt Thompson via you.
Yes.
But we jumped on board. We were saying, hey, it looks like he's going to make it. If you like him, go for it. And Jordan Walker does make the team. He was already being drafted pretty highly, but now in those same 4 main events, you got Jordan Walker at pick 120, a min of 94, a max of 148, puts him in between Gunnar Henderson and Max Muncy. What do you think about Jordan Walker's outlook here? And really, what do you think about the playing time? I think that's always been the question, even for people that kind of agreed, okay, he's going to make the team. I see that. I'm with that. I don't know what to do about it, though, because I'm still concerned about the playing time. How do you answer those questions? Like, where do you think Jordan Walker's playing time is going to be? I know he's not going to be called up to sit, but that doesn't mean that he's going to play every single day, in my opinion. What do you think?
I mean, I think he's going to play every single day. I don't know why you bring up a guy of his talent and prospect status to have him sit on the bench.
Because you have a great team that has a lot of depth, and there's just not enough room to play every single person every single day. So I'd be surprised if he's just unquestioned every single day. I think he's going to miss once or twice a week.
Maybe once a week, but I mean, very few guys play unquestioned every single day. But he's going to play.
Just said he's going to play every day.
I mean, you know what I mean. Like he's going to play like a regular plays, which is, he's going to play 6 days a week. Probably get a day off here and there. I think the difference between him, if he was playing on the Royals like Bobby Witt Jr. is coming up. and him playing on the Cardinals is if he struggles, he's gonna lose playing time and potentially get sent down. I'm super surprised.
He's also going to bat low too. Pardon me. He's also going to be batting low, unlike somebody like Bobby Witt.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I'm surprised
about something.
The price has not gone up. Like the price is like where it was when we were drafting on Saturday. The news hadn't come out yet, and he's going in the exact same spot. Like it hasn't not moved.
Maybe he was just always at full price then. I mean, because I expected it to jump too for Jordan Walker. I really did, into the top 100 as well. But maybe he was just already being drafted at full price essentially, and thus we're not seeing anything really jump.
Yeah, so I'm here for it. I mean, he's a guy I've rostered on a bunch of teams, in spite of, except for the one like you and I were in together where you sniped me pretty hard. But yeah, I think he's going to be really, really good from the get-go. If he's weirdly available in your league, you got to go run to the wire and get him. I think I'd rather have him than Volpe, but it's really, really close because of Volpe's just speed profile.
That's the thing, yeah.
But I mean, he's going to have third in outfield eligibility, which is fantastic. So.
That part's awesome because Jordan Walker is going to be playing in the outfield. They have that guy Nolan Arenado. Ever heard of him?
Pretty good, yeah.
So yeah, he's not going to be playing too much third, if at all. Maybe give Arenado a spell every once in a blue moon, but that's all you're really going to see there. So yeah, Jordan Walker makes the team. Price has not gone up so far, so if you like him and you haven't drafted yet, and you were worried about a huge price surge, I mean, an individual league, of course, could see such a surge, but overall, those 4 drafts from yesterday to this morning, 120 ADP, minimum of 94, which actually would be, obviously inside the top 100. So if you really like him, right around that last pick, your last pick inside the top 100, you might want to take Jordan Walker to secure him, or you play chicken with it and see if you can get him a little bit later. Oscar Colás made the White Sox. This is another situation where it was being operated as though this is probably how it was going to play out, but it certainly wasn't a guarantee. Oscar Colás, an interesting power outfielder, has a little bit of that all or nothing sort of swing to him in his profile there. Some strikeouts, not a ton of walks. 263 ADP in these the aforementioned 4 main events that we've seen here. That puts him as the 59th outfielder in between Mitch Haniger and Jesse Winker. That feels like a pretty reasonable price for the White Sox rookie. What do you think of Oscar Colás?
Yeah, his price never rose at all either, which was a little surprising because I think there are some people in the industry that are pretty excited about him. Again, it comes down to how much contact can he make? Is he going to hit enough to kind of unleash that 60 grade raw power? So he's going to get an opportunity. The White Sox seem to like him a lot, and they also seem to want to not play Eloy Jimenez in the outfield.
Good.
To everybody's delight, I drafted Eloy last night, and in response to that belief, so we'll see how long that stays true. But I think there is somewhat of a short leash for Colás. I think he does have to hit to kind of stay up. So he's not like a premium defender or anything like that. He's kind of an average defender. But if he can just make league average contact or close to league average contact, I think there's 30 home run potential in that bat. So he's the guy.
Power potential.
I would definitely be picking up off the waiver wire in your shallower leagues where he wasn't drafted.
Pick him up in a 12 then? You said shallower leagues, 12?
Yeah, I think so.
What about a 10?
Kind of depends on who you're replacing, but
yeah, I think that's.
Let's say you drafted Dylan Carlson. Yeah, drop Dylan Carlson and pick up Oscar Colás.
I can get behind that even as a Carlson fan. Obviously, he's going to lose some PT with Walker making the team there. We didn't talk about that. Gorman, Burleson, Carlson, Walker. They're all going to be fighting for PT there, but Walker's obviously going to be the lead. But yeah, I like Colás.
Ron Yepez as well.
Oh yeah, and well, wait, did he even make the team?
I believe he did.
We don't have him on roster. No, he's optional. Ron Yepez is out.
Oh wow.
I'll take my victory on that. I told you.
Yeah, Yepez had a pretty brutal spring. Like he was hitting like 210. So
I told you he'd be the loser and not Dylan Carlson.
I mean, Dylan Carlson's still a loser.
He's going to get sent out. He was never getting
Right.
sent out. That was like literally never happening. That was always a crazy take. All right, let's move over to the D-backs, talk some pitchers. Ryne Nelson won that 5th starters battle, but Drey Jameson made the team as well. He's going to work out of the bullpen as a multi-inning reliever, potentially in some high leverage. I wonder if he could find himself in a fireman or even maybe getting into that closer's role there. Let's talk about Nelson first, who won the job. I know Eno's pretty big on Ryne Nelson. He also debuted last year. He and Jameson both did. Looked pretty sharp after ugly spells in AAA. The PCL will get you for sure, and they both seem to fall victim to that with a lot of home runs. But what do you think of Nelson? 25-year-old righty ends up winning this job here. Was he somebody that was on your radar this draft season?
Yeah, I drafted actually both of them in my Barf League draft, and I was like, I'm gonna get the 5th starter for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah.
No, there was a point in which both looked like they were gonna get sent down because they're both struggling.
Mm-hmm.
Nelson's stuff was unreal. You look at the stuff scores in spring, and he was just like off the charts good. The results weren't there until the last few starts, whereas I think he pulled ahead of Jameson. Though I am a little surprised that if they were going to keep both in the majors and one was going to go to the bullpen, that it wasn't Nelson going to the bullpen. I think his stuff plays up better in short inning spurts, whereas Jameson has a little bit more complete repertoire. So I think you take the gamble. It's a good park to pitch in. This team is up and coming, and I mentioned to you, like I made a bet that the Diamondbacks win the division.
I like it.
Yeah,
it's a gamble, it's
a
long
huge
shot
gamble,
for sure.
But it's like $25 to win a grand, so I'll take that gamble any day of the week. So
I think it's a worthy shot. Like they got a good lineup. I think they have a good rotation with some depth. I know they're playing the two oldies and Davies and Bumgarner, which isn't great, but they have the depth with Nelson making it, Jameson and Brandon Pfaadt behind them. I like that they've got those young arms. Hopefully, eventually, that we see all 3 of them in the rotation. If it was those 3 with Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen, that would be a rotation. Unfortunately, Bumgarner's getting paid. Sunk cost fallacy doesn't exist in Major League
How much
Baseball.
longer is he getting paid for? Is the question.
I think it's through 24. Correct me on that if I'm wrong.
I know it was originally a 5-year deal, which is why the Giants, through 24. So
at least it drops to 14 mil next year. It's a 9 mil discount.
Yeah, so they could make a middle reliever and
but they'll probably keep starting him. He's like one of those guys.
He's one of those guys who would just refuse. Like he's probably got something in his contract that says he has to start.
I wouldn't even be surprised.
Yeah.
Jameson appealed to you at all as a reliever in, I guess, like 15s and deeper, where you would hold him there, hoping that he gets back in the rotation. How you playing your Jameson shares now in 15 mixers and deeper?
I don't think so. Like I don't know that. I think he's a guy you just kind of let drop to the waiver wire, and if someone gets hurt, you go run back to try to pick him back up. But I don't know that you can hold someone like him who doesn't have really any opportunity to get wins or saves in that bullpen. Yeah, maybe you hold on to him just through the weekend, obviously, and kind of see how they use him, because maybe he's kind of the follower for Bumgarner. Bumgarner goes, 3 or 4, and then, or Zach Davies goes 3 and 4, and then they bring in Jameson. So, maybe he's one of those guys you actually can get some cheap wins from, because he'll be the first man in a situation where they're not letting the starter going very deep.
Yeah, if we're seeing Drey Jameson go multiple innings regularly, like 2+ innings, that could be pretty interesting, because it could give him the opportunity to, like you said, pick up some cheap wins. That would be kind of neat.
Yeah, I could see the argument. I mean, I liked him more than I liked Nelson coming in to spring training, and it was just Nelson's spring training that helped propel him over Jameson. So I shouldn't throw out all the research and kind of views I did just because he had he struggled in a few spring starts. So don't forget about him, because I think he's going to play a big role for the Diamondbacks this season.
Yeah, that's a good caveat overall here. And be careful just throwing everything out that you thought because of spring results. It's still a 6-month season.
Yeah, and
And
it's, I know it's really hard for us because we watch so many games and we have to talk about it. Like we don't get to just like start the the baseball season doesn't start and we just go we're not going to podcast for 2 or 3 weeks until things start to stabilize.
Yeah, we have to talk about those first few weeks.
We're kind of forced to talk about like, oh no, Matthew Boyd had a really bad first start. Do I drop him?
It's so hard.
It's super difficult, and there will be things on every podcast or in a lot of articles that are just stupid. Like I'm pretty sure like everybody recommended dropping like Gleyber Torres, like when he started out slow 1 year, and the Matthew Carpenter, Matt Carpenter nonsense from a few years ago as well. So
there's always a few guys that they're struggling into mid-May. And it's like, are we dropping Marcus Semien last year? There was some talk of dropping him. And, it's easy to say now, but I'm on record at the time that was crazy. I was never cutting.
If you drafted someone your first half of your draft, you'll drop them in the first month. Like the bottom half, like I actually don't mind. Like if you want to get aggressive. But yeah, the first half, like don't drop people. It's just
no, you got to give them more than a month. You really do. Yeah. It's just it is still a small sample, even a month in, and we will reiterate that throughout the coming podcasts in April, because
I'm gonna try to stay disciplined in that regard. I'm not gonna freak out.
Don't freak out. The Braves made a couple big moves here because their rotation is going to feature 2 young guys, Jared Shuster and Dylan Dodd, the latter of which is making the squad because Kyle Wright is going to be on the IL with shoulder fatigue to start the season, and Shuster just won the fifth job. So we saw Shuster and Dodd start to move up in drafts. It was like, okay, these guys are putting themselves on the radar here. They're battling for the 5th starter's role. Then they both were able to make it after really impressive springs paired with the Wright injury. How do you feel about Braves prospects Jared Shuster and Dylan Dodd? Let's start with Shuster, who feels a little bit more stable because I think he won. Like I said, I think he won the 5th starter's role, and then Dodd made it because of Wright's injury. So let's start with Shuster.
Shuster is an interesting guy. I mean, he's a lefty, so he kind of limits the damage that the short porch and Wright can do.
They're both lefties, in fact.
That's right. He's not overpowering, but he's got good command and control. I think he's interesting. You're going to get wins on that team, especially if you can go deep enough to qualify in games. And he gets the opening series against the Nationals to start out. So I think I'm a little bit more interested in Shuster than Dodd just because he gets that first easy start. Dodd is going to line up, I think,
at St. Louis.
Yeah, that's not something I want. I don't want.
Is Shuster a 12-team pickup for you? 15, I think we're saying easily yes. But
I think he's like a team streamer in 12s. I don't know that you have to necessarily pick him up, but I think he's the guy that you if you have an extra roster spot and you want to kind of play the matchups with him, he makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because you want to see what's up. Braves, they've got a good track record. I'm certainly intrigued by both these guys by virtue of the Braves bringing them up and the fact that they are legit prospects. Let's talk Dodd now. He barely touched AAA last year. Shuster had 48 2/3 there, just 6 2/3 for Dodd, but he's actually older. He's going into his age 25 season, so he's a little bit behind the curve as far as his development. So it takes a little bit of punch out of the dominant numbers that he had last year. He had a 20% or higher strikeout minus walk ratio at high A, AA, and AAA last year. But like I said, barely pitched at AAA, was 24 years old, so a little bit old for the level, but did very well. Also a lefty. He gets that rough first start, like you said, out to St. Louis. But what do you think about Dylan Dodd? And is he someone you're picking up in 15-teamers then?
Yeah, he's a guy that just started kind of becoming like one of the last picks of every draft at the main event. I think I need to see more. I think I need to. I guess in a 15-team league, you don't have the opportunity to just wait and see. So maybe
because he'll probably be picked up this weekend. With Sunday's bids going into next week. Is that something that you would do with Dodd?
I guess so. I mean, at the beginning of the season, there's just so many options in the waiver wire. But do you take a gamble like him as opposed to a gamble like a veteran that is not any good? No, I think you take the gamble on him and hope that maybe he is decent as opposed to taking. Here's the question, right? Mitch Keller has an opening series matchup against the Reds. It's in Cincinnati, so it's not a great park. But
and then he goes to Boston the following week.
Yeah, but Mitch Keller has looked really, really good in spring.
Mm-hmm.
Would you rather have Mitch Keller or would you rather have Dylan Dodd? I'm going to go Keller.
I'm going to go Keller as well.
Yeah.
Dodd does set up for a 2-step next week, though, so he's definitely going to be picked up. You're not going to be able to play the wait and see.
Yeah, but
15.
One of them's the Cardinals.
And the other one's San Diego at home.
Yeah, so you're not playing.
It's a tough 2-step, but he's going to get picked up.
Okay,
I'm telling you.
Why don't you wait to pick him up after everybody else drops him? Like, because he's going to get lit the fuck up by these guys.
Probably. I'm just saying, if you like him, you got to get him now. That's
the hard part about that is like you're gonna want to play him. It's a 2-step
exactly. And if you're picking,
you don't want to destroy your ratios like the first week of the season.
I'll take the 1-step Tyler Wells over Dylan Dodd. I'm just nervous. I don't know what to make of him. Guy has a start at AAA. He's 25. He had a great spring. I just don't know enough. So he'll be maybe down in my bids, but I'm not like seeking Dylan Dodd out, even though he has a 2-step next week. Mm-hmm. So I'm playing it pretty cautiously. I agree with you, and I would take Mitch Keller over him. Connor Capel makes the A's. I actually took him in the main, but I also wanted to bring it up, not just because I wanted to be happy about getting him, or actually I didn't take him in the main. I picked him up this week. I cut somebody to pick him up, but it means Cristian Pache is going to be DFA'd. He's out of options. So they're going to get rid of Cristian Pache, the center fielder, defensively, who can't hit a lick.
He was the centerpiece of the Matt Olson trade.
Yeah,
that's insanity.
He's a brutal hitter, dude.
I know, but at worst, he's a fantastic defensive center fielder. Like,
actually, I'd say Shea Langeliers was the centerpiece, and he was Pache was his secondary. But still, your point holds. I'm sorry, I'm just being technical, Tommy.
You can't tell me he doesn't make the team better than he is just with his defense. Like,
and I don't want to make this Capel versus Pache because I would think Brent Rooker. I just want to say Brent Rooker made the team, and that would probably be the versus that the battle that I would set up. How is Brent Rooker making it over Cristian Pache, who actually had a decent spring too? But it's based on everything that's set up. It doesn't look like he's making. It's not official yet, so news could change. But everything I'm reading says that Cristian Pache is going to get murked.
I mean, how can you make the argument that they should be keeping guys like Jace Peterson and
Peterson's because where he plays. It's Rooker.
It's Rooker. But like, there's like Rooker. 4 or 5 guys that are going to make this opening day roster that probably shouldn't be on any major league roster. And
I think it's really only Rooker though that you really want to look at.
I agree.
28-year-old. Like hit only type of guy. I don't know about his defense. He might be an okay defender, but I
think he's an okay defender, but he's like a short side platoon guy. Like.
Yeah, Pache is an elite center fielder, but can't hit a lick. Had hit a bit in spring. Some team's going to
Ryan Oda making the team. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, but let's talk about Capel a little bit because I actually quite like him. It sucks that he's on Oakland, right? His runs and ribbies are going to be like a combined 13. But I think there's some intrigue here in terms of the overall skills. Good plate skills, can take a walk, doesn't strike out too much. Hit a little bit in his sample last year between St. Louis and Oakland, particularly with Oakland. He got 40 plate appearances. It's nothing sample. I don't even want to get into citing the numbers. It's so small. But, held his own there for a little bit. But in the minors, 10 homers, 19 steals in AAA last year in 87 games, hitting 258, 361, 425 with a 16% K rate and a 13% walk rate. That was with AAA for St. Louis. I don't know how they got him. I don't know what trade that was. I can look it up. But what do you think of Connor Capel? And it's Conner there if you're looking for him. It's not I think the more common spelling of Connor. But what do you think of Connor Capel? It was a waivers pickup by Oakland, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that clearly has worked hard to improve his overall profile because kind of profile is kind of a below average contact guy, and more of a sum of all parts type of profile as opposed to having a carrying tool, especially for fantasy, but just in general. But he's really improved that hit tool. I mean, even his small major league sample, he had like above league average zone contact. It looks like he's kind of made strides kind of in the swing strike rate every year in the minor leagues to the point where it was under 10% last year. So the question is like, what kind of opportunity does he get to actually play? Right now, roster resource has him is kind of the fourth outfielder kind of bench option. So maybe he just kind of plays 3 or 4 times a week. That just doesn't make him super interesting for any size league outside of AL only. A guy,
I think he'll play more. I don't believe in Estuary Ruiz at all.
Yeah, Ruiz had a good spring though. Hit a home run last night off of Ross Stripling.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I think they're gonna give Ruiz.
I will say, with regard to Ruiz, I'm being pretty flippant, but the plate skills were pretty nice. I do like that, and I will give credit there. 4 strikeouts, 7 walks. That is nice. And if because he struck me as those prototypical rabbits that got the great speed but can't hit a lick. Did have a good spring. You're correct. I don't want to just completely dismiss it. But yeah, I think Capel can still mix in pretty regularly as a lefty. They've got Laureano, Seth Brown.
Laureano's going to get hurt. I mean, if
Laureano gets hurt, then Capel's playing every day, or at least he's right.
It's just a matter of time before Laureano gets hurt again. So,
but you mentioned Noda, who we'll see what Ryne Noda can do, but Aguilar can always go to first as well, and then Seth Brown can or stay at DH. Seth Brown can play some first, get Capel in that way. I think Capel's going to get his opportunities. Noda, by the way, if we're going to talk about what Capel did in the minors last year, Ryne Noda had a 25 homer, 20 steal season in the Dodgers minor leagues last year. Do you have any interest? He's always been good. He's hit well throughout he's 27 though, so he was beating, kind of an older guy, beating up the minors. Any intrigue in Noda, who also made this A's club?
Yeah, I think there should be some interest. I'm hoping he doesn't have a really big first weekend so I can pick him up in some leagues because my auction team in Vegas, I pretty much didn't draft a first baseman. So
we talked about how deep it was this whole time and you didn't get anybody.
I didn't. I ran out of money because of Jared Kelenic. So you were a part of that. You were sitting right there. It didn't stop me.
Go.
Yeah, exactly.
Better get your guy.
So, I think he's a guy that is going to be really, really interesting because he's a Rule 5 pick. He has to stay on the 26-man roster.
Yeah, this is Noda who has to stay on the team.
Yeah, so I think he's going to get a fair amount of run. Why would they return him? Their other first base option is Jesus Aguilar, and Aguilar hasn't looked bad or anything in spring, but he's not DH, part of this future. Yeah.
Well, he's DH, right? I think they want to keep him around, but he's kind of perma DH, occasional time over at first. It should be Noda and Brown playing first. So we'll see what's up with Laureano and Ruiz. That's what's going to help, or that's what's going to hurt Capel getting in the lineup right now with those two upright and playing with Laureano's health concerns and Ruiz's skill concerns. But I still like Capel. Like I said, picked him up, kind of my last guy on the roster. I just want to see what he can do. Could be kind of an intriguing dude. Noda also has some intrigue as well. 15-team mixers and deeper here we're talking. I'm really not sure that anybody besides Seth Brown, Laureano, maybe Aguilar are 12-team viable, and maybe Ruiz if he is indeed turning a corner here because his speed plays so much. But I think that's it as far as 12-team viable on the A's. So, all right, we got our last bit of news here. Jared Walsh is going to start on the IL dealing with some headaches. It didn't say anything about, I don't know if he's recently gotten a concussion or anything, but I know there was concern about his health from the thoracic outlet syndrome surgery, but that seemed to be all right. It's these headaches right now that are causing some issues and going to put him on the IL to start the season. Were you back in on Walsh at all during draft season?
No, but he was another guy that I was thinking about picking up this weekend.
He could have been your first base pickup.
First base, because like I said, I don't really have a really good option there in my auction league. So it's a little bit of a bummer to see him, have these headache issues. I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm kind of taking a look. I believe there was something else going on too, along with the headaches that was an issue. Insomnia. He's having insomnia and headaches.
So okay, that's rough.
So
I wish
and
Walsh
then
the best on that. That's a pain.
yeah,
Not being
that
able to sleep
is
is a nightmare.
yeah, absolutely. As someone who doesn't sleep on purpose, it's really it's more brutal when you can't control that.
So Drury will probably move into first consistently there while he's out, while Walsh is out. Opens up the door for some more Luis Rengifo playing time.
mhm.
What do you think about Rengifo there? Because I know he was somebody who had some fantasy juice because of what he did down the stretch last year, but I was having a hard time figuring out where he was going to play, so I wasn't particularly interested in Rengifo. What do you think about this now that he has at least a short-term window to maybe play a bit more?
I like Rengifo as a kind of a glue guy in deeper leagues. You know, a guy who can be on your bench and cover multiple different positions. I think the more interesting Angels news is that Logan O'Hoppe made the
Logan
opening day
O'Hoppe did
roster.
make the
Yeah.
team.
Uh,
And I will say this also, this injury or this situation with Walsh, I think allowed Matt Theis to make it, which was my concern. Wait,
yeah.
is Stassi on the no, never mind. Stassi on the IL made it
Yeah.
easy to keep because it was Theis, O'Hoppe that was the concern. And I was
Yeah.
like in on O'Hoppe early. Then I saw the Theis talk. I backed off. I was like, I'm too nervous that he's going to start in the minors. I'm already pretty skeptical of rookie catchers. Then got back in late thinking like, okay, looks like he's going to make it. And now Hoppy did make it. His price was always pretty expensive though. So when I say back in, I just meant in terms of like, oh, I think he's going to make the team now. I didn't really end up drafting him because I thought the market was pretty tight
Yeah.
on O'Hoppe from the jump.
I didn't draft him either because I didn't think he was making the team. But
Yeah,
the
that was my concern.
Stassi injuries helped him in that regard. So I think the people who were believers are going to get rewarded. I mean, he showed a pretty good hit tool in the minor leagues and during spring training. I don't think he's like a massive power guy or anything like that, but I think he will hit for enough power combined with a decent average to make him pretty viable in two catcher formats.
36% K rate in spring, though. That could be a little tough there. We'll see what's going on with O'Hoppe's batting average, but you're hoping to get some pop there. A C2, I think it's a worthy gamble. He's always taken pretty good walks. He's never really struck out like that to that degree before in the minors coming up. So maybe that was just a small sample of ugliness for O'Hoppe. But yeah, it did jump out to me. 36% strikeout rate, 11% walk rate. So yeah, ended up being a news only episode. We will get into some main event discussion next time out. We will be talking real life regular season major league games on Friday, Justin. I can't wait. I know you said you don't have any more drafts right now, but I'm not going to hold you to that. You might still get another one. Good luck if you do, and I'll talk to you on Friday.
Take it easy.